Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your no doubt busy schedules to be here today. However, I can guarantee you that once we leave today, everybody's going to leave with a better understanding as to how we're going to move into the future from this point in order to meet our strategic goals for the plans that we have set in place. We all know that over the past few years, there have been changes within our policies that have led to an increase in our potential member base. Some of this is evident throughout all of our departments in the growth that we've all seen over the past 6 years. While we have grown rapidly over the 6 years, some of these changes increased the potential of our membership growth to over 60 million based on the current amount of active reserve, former, and retired military members that qualify to use our services and benefits now. One of our strategic goals and the focus of today's meeting is going to be the growth of our membership with the potential to meet this goal. It's been a long road just to get to this point, and there's still a long way to go for us to be able to meet these goals. First thing I would like to do is just take a few moments and kind of review some of the data and analyses that have been conducted over the past few weeks for us to be able to get to this point here. One of the first steps was to create a SWOT, or strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis that then allowed us to develop our strategic roadmap and our action plan. Now, going back to the SWOT itself, that's what really created the meat and potatoes, if you will, for us to identify the strengths and the opportunities, which I think we can all agree have got us to the point we are now, but also some of the weaknesses and the threats that are posed for our organization. In identifying these weaknesses and threats, we also need to be able to move into the future and identify, best practices or ways in order for us to mitigate some of these weaknesses and threats that could potentially throw obstacles in our way in meeting these goals that we've identified. Some of these weaknesses and threats that were identified through the SWOT are competitive pricing amongst our competitors. Another is our limited member base. And then yet another is the government and state regulations and restrictions that guide some of our financial practices. Our competitors are going to continue to grow. That's just the nature of the business. There's no way we're going to stop that. And it's not necessarily the growth of our competitors that we're concerned about as much as it is our ability to provide the unique benefits and services that our members desire, and creating a clear separation between our services and our competitors. In reference to the state and federal standards, we need to ensure that as an organization, we are maintaining the appropriate licensing guidelines and adhering to the federal and state guidelines that are put in place in order for us to operate within those standards. Due to the nature of our organization and the products and services that we offer our members, We can't look at our strategic plan as a fixed point in the future. We have to really look at it more as a living, breathing organism, a moving target, if you will. And as such, we need to maintain a level of flexibility in order to adjust for many of the changes that are likely to come our way as we work towards these goals. Now, some of the methods we're going to use to evaluate the effectiveness of our plan are actually already in place within our organization. As executives, sometimes we can become a bit removed from the daily operations and interactions with our members. This is why it's going to be very important for us to rely on our member feedback and evaluate the relevant member concerns so that we can come up with appropriate responses to meet those concerns and answer those questions and needs that our members have moving into the future. Because again, we have a very selective membership. Many of our members can seek their financial products and services at other locations, within other organizations, whereas we can't necessarily solicit for members of those organizations to become ours. There are currently plans in motion that are going to allow us to create a more robust marketing and advertising campaign that accurately portrays the benefits and services that are offered to our members. I would say, though, that probably one of the most profitable means of our member expansion is going to be through just word of mouth. But this is really going to remain effective only if the level of service that is provided by our employees is such that our members maintain that faith and confidence in us and recommend our products and services to other qualified members. Now, I'm not seeing many questions posted on the chat here, but the ones I am seeing seem to have a common theme, so I'll go ahead and address that. How do we meet and maintain the employee structure and support this potential growth? That's a lot of growth that we're looking at moving into the future. Understandably, we're not going to do it overnight, but we do have to have a plan in place. And the easy answer, the simple answer is we hire more employees. Well, oftentimes, as we increase the employee base, you look at the potential of reduced training. We want to ensure that our training, our certification, our licensing requirements for our employees maintain at the level that they are right now so that we can continue to provide the excellent service that we do to our members. Another thing that we're going to look at is increasing our remote teams to perform their employee duties outside of our brick and mortar establishments. What this is going to do, especially here in the near future, is it's going to cut down on some of the costs that would be incurred in expanding our brick and mortar structures. Although we are going to continue to do that, we don't have to do it at such a rapid rate. Plus, it still allows our employees, at least a handful of them, to operate with the flexibility outside of that brick and mortar establishment and in certain areas where they're able to meet member needs based on otherwise imposed time restrictions based on different time zones, as well as the ability to provide that same level of service that all of our employees inside the brick and mortar establishments throughout the United States still do. I know this was very brief, and I know a lot of us came into this with an understanding of some of the goals and plans we had in place in order for us to get to the point that we need to be to meet those financial goals. I want all of you to take this back to your specific sections and divisions and solicit additional input so that as we move into the future, we can continue to maintain on target and meet these ever-changing needs of our members and stay on the forefront of the competition and maintain that competitive edge with all of our competitors out there. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy schedules again, and I look forward to our next meeting where we can move further into the future with additional ideas and options to allow us to continue to succeed as we continue to grow the membership.